In terms of how this money is going to be spent, let Mr. Bismarck Rewane help us out on it. Look, we've seen this over and over again. This money is come and they're spent. Perhaps some people are not happy in the manner in which this money is spent. World over, what is the standard, considering what the federal government is saying about how these monies are going to be disbursed and how it's going to be spent? Your take, Mr. Rewane.
Well, as an economist, let me put it clearly that monies that have been looted or relooted and recovered should not be spent, they should be invested. There's a big difference between spending and investment. What has happened is that if you are going to spend it on social programs and people consume, they finish buying rice and then it's over, it will not move the needle. But let us look at the quantum of money involved here. We are talking about $322 million, which is in Naira terms 116 billion Naira. And 116 billion Naira is only 20% of a monthly allocation for all the states and the federation. So it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to change anything. It is a signal that is being sent to the public that are we going to tolerate impunity? Are we going to tolerate corruption? Are we going to encourage it, or are we just going to, talk cheaply and pay, lip service to the issue? The amount in question is not that significant.
Okay, because Mr. Rewane, what draws my attention right now is that report of the poverty report about Nigeria, saying that Nigeria is overtaking India in the index of the most poverty-stricken nation of the world and the most poverty citizen that we have in the nation. If the government is saying we're going to enrich the poor, we're going to take some poor people out of poverty with these looted monies, isn't this good news in the light of that report?
What do you mean by liberating the poor by giving them money to eat? What we are saying is that invest in infrastructure, produce capital, increase capital formation so that these guys can get jobs. You are giving an unemployed man some money to go and buy a bag of rice for 1 week and then comes back again. And that is not the solution. The solution to poverty is that your GDP growth rate is lower than your population growth rate. You are producing 14,000 children every day. And what you are producing in terms of output is equal to less than, it's only about 80% of that. So every day that passes, more and more people are getting poor. And that's why the IMF said that for the next 8 years, your income per capita in dollar terms is going to be declining. So what the report of poverty is saying that Nigeria with a GDP of $405 billion compared to India, which has $2.3 trillion. India has a population of 1.3 billion people. Nigeria has a population of 186. So Nigeria's population is 1/6 the population of India. At the same time, Nigeria's income per capita is only 10% or 20% higher than that of India. Nigeria has a population growth rate of 2.6%, while India has a population growth rate of 1.2%. So they have very strict population growth issues. India is a produce wealth economy, which is diversified with services and all of that, and massive investment in infrastructure. Nigeria is a natural wealth economy where income and revenues are being shared rather than being plowed back. So I want to relate this to the recovery of loot. Recovery of loot is good, but it must be invested. Invested in infrastructure and areas which create jobs. Income inequality and opportunity inequality are two different things. What you have in Nigeria is income inequality as well as opportunity inequality, so that people are in despair. You have to address this by giving them hope. Economic hope is created by people investing, both government, private sector, international investors, and foreign remittances coming back. So it's not all bad news. There's good news because some things are beginning to happen, but they're happening so slowly, so impactless that nobody can feel it.
All right.
And if people feel this, then you will have a problem.
All right, we'll take a break, everyone. Grab your chair. Don't go yet, because during this break, I will show you what the Minister of Finance is saying about the stalemate on the monies that are supposed to be distributed by the state. It's called the Federal Allocation Account Committee meeting, which ended in a stalemate. What will happen to your salary if you are a worker in any of the state of the Federation? Mr. Bismarck Rewane and Mr. Suraj, they are here with us on the program, and they'll be shedding more light. That's after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us, and welcome back. Let's get back to the conversation now. Here is another story which has some kind of connection with the initial story. A report by the World Poverty Clock shows that Nigeria has overtaken India as a country with the most extreme poor people in the world. But the federal government has faulted that report. The Minister of Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enalama, said the report does not reflect the situation in the country, insisting that the report may have been compiled when the country was in recession. We're still talking about government spending and disbursement. The monthly federal allocations accounts and allocation committee, FAC, could not be concluded on Wednesday. The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, has given reasons behind the disagreements in the meeting, noting that figures given by the NNPC is unacceptable and falls below expectation. The minister said the cost presented by the NNPC could not be justified, showing an under-remittance. She disclosed that in Nigeria, now has about $1.9 billion US in excess crude account. Let's get back to the conversation. On the panel tonight is a renowned economist, the Executive Director of Financial Derivatives, regular analyst on Channels Television, Mr. Bismarck Rewane. And here with me in the studio, Mr. Olariwaju Suraj is a chairman of the Coalition Against Corruption. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Let me quickly come to you, Mr. Suraj, before we get to Mr. Rewane's remark on this very important issue. It does mean that worker salary might be in the balance with what we've seen happening. But the issues of remittances, under remittances from the NNPC is not a new issue, isn't it? A lot of people are concerned about what is happening in the NNPC. The governors are. The minister also has raised that issue. What exactly do you think is happening in that realm?
Well, it is simply the lack of transparency and accountability. And also you can extend it to the extent of conspiracy, even within the whole gamut of the government. The NNPC is not, and that should actually be made clear to some of the governors who are usually failing in holding NNPC accountable. NNPC is not a federal government institution. It's the Federation of Nigerians institution. So its accountability is not only to the Minister of Finance, to the Petroleum Resources Minister, but to the Federation. And the federating unit are the state. So it's supposed to be rendering that account to the Federation. And all the governors and the commissioners of finance are meant to have been doing what they're just doing now. If this has been the case before now, NNPC would not be bold enough to be coming up with such a concocted report that will be questioned at that level.
Because, I mean, this is not the first time. Even the House, the National Assembly has come out to say the NNPC has not given accurate remittances based on what is earned over the years.
And that is why it is very possible for some of these corruption that we're talking about, money laundering that we're talking about, looted funds that are being recovered, quite a whole gamut of many of these funds are through the NNPC, either through the minister or either through the president or either through the ministry itself, basically because those who are meant to hold it accountable are failing to do that. And inevitably, there's no way you won't have this kind of situation.
Could it be the reflection, a mirror of the kind of standoff that we saw between the Minister of State at the time and the NNPC GMD?
No, I probably wouldn't know if that was genuinely. Sometimes you find those kind of standoff that is not in the interest of the country. I wouldn't know if that was in the interest of the country or that is out of individual interests that are actually being checkmated by one or the other. And that might not really be in the larger interest of the country. But in the interest of the country, we must actually, and that is why we must say, the minister is not telling us the whole truth. Don't tell us the figures don't add up. What are the figures that didn't add up? Where are the lapses that you observe? Where are the overcharges? And then we need to question it. It is not just the minister question it and the commissioner, and then they can.
Is it the National Assembly that will bring them to account, or
the media should bring them to account?
Okay.
The National Assembly can do that. The civil society can do that, and we can actually take them to court and say we are very dissatisfied with whatever it is that is even agreed at the level of the fact.
Let's ask Mr. Rewane the financial implications of this. Now, for an average worker, the working out and the stalemate that we've seen at that meeting, how could it impact on the pockets of an average worker whose salary may not be paid at the end of the day?
Well, the worker is going to get a salary after all. But the point is that this year alone, we have paid out to FAC more than 30% of what we paid out last year. In fact, what we paid out so far is 3.28 trillion. And I respectfully disagree with the minister in the sense that $1.9 billion is all that has accrued to the excess crude account. No, it cannot be. If the price of the benchmark price of oil is at $50.5 a barrel, the average price of oil so far this year is almost $70 a barrel. Everything between 50 and 70, $20 on a barrel should be in the excess crude account. Yeah. Multiplied by the number of barrels, which are the Nigerian share of the production, definitely it's far in excess of $1.9 billion. Right. So something has been leaking. Mm-hmm. The leakages are actually disinvestments. And I said at the beginning of this program, we need to invest, not disinvest. But also, the fact that we are even talking about it is a breath of fresh air. Let's talk about, let's find out exactly what has happened. How much do we earn? Yeah. We are producing 1.8 million barrels. We are producing 1.8 million barrels. It's known how much we are selling. We know where the money is. Why is our average price, when Brent is selling at $75, why are we receiving only $72? Who is getting the discount there? Secondly, and more importantly, is that at what exchange rate is the dollars earned being used and converted to pay the Federation account? If the IE window is $360 or $361 naira per dollar, why are we changing the money at 325 naira? What exchange rate are we using? So why are the states and the federal government being cheated in this whole process? Why can't we use one uniform exchange rate and stop all of this regulatory arbitrage?
I completely agree with him. They can pay the states in dollars. Yeah, because they can go and change it themselves. It is part of the fraud and the failure of the states to hold the federal government and the NNPC to account. They can be paid in dollars. Why are they paid in naira? But, I mean, they are comfortable because that is the only source of revenue for the state. They can just take the naira and then walk away. They are not also accountable in their state anyway.
So many to chew, not so much time on our hands. And it's a weekend. We must go at this time, everyone. Our time is up. Many thanks to my partner tonight on the program, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, a regular analyst, a friend of the house, and he's the ED and the MD of Financial Derivatives. Thank you so much for your time. Mr. Olariwaju Suraj is also the chairman of the Coalition Against Corruption. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Well, whatever you may be watching, it's Friday. We shall be back with Sunday Politics on Sunday at 8 p.m. It's bye-bye from all of us here. Thank you.